Hi, this is Mike Class in the Magalog Guide. Welcome to the Boosting Response and Revenue with Maglaogs webinar. I'm a direct marketing graphic designer handling the layout of sales letters, books, training material, and more. But I have a special interest in Magalogs because of their marketing power. I'm also a speaker and teacher covering such topics as direct market design, copywriting, and leveraging your content to enhance your marketing activities. With that said, let's get started. This idea of making a deeper connection is a thread that runs through a lot of what I do these days with people. Design doesn't much matter if it's not used to help make meaningful connections with people that we believe we can help. To me, to have the maximum success in our businesses, we need to truly believe that we have something of value to offer. In a sense, it goes beyond just having and doing a job. When you're at a point where you feel like it's a calling to do what you do, that's when that deeper connection can be made with people you know you can help. One problem we must solve with our marketing material is how to make an impact. There are many ways we can make an impact in our marketing efforts, but I'm focusing on Magalogs today because to a lot of people Magalogs are a new idea. I want to stress though that I'm not saying Magalogs are the only way to make an impact. They're not. In fact, I've had to tell some potential clients that, in my opinion, a Magalog was not the best option for them at that time. But Magalogs have been used successfully over the past few decades and worth considering whether they should be added to a well-rounded marketing mix. One thing we do know for sure, and we'll see this later on, Magalogs do have impact. Okay, one myth we need to address up front. People don't read anymore, and they certainly don't want to read marketing material. Well, when people talk about junk mail, they're usually referring to stuff that has no relation to their needs or wants. You are simply a name on a huge mailing list that you have no idea how you got on. The business is practicing what we call the spray and pray method of marketing. Spray it out to a ton of people and pray that enough people respond. People do have a what's in it for me attitude, and that's not always a bad or selfish thing. We're bombarded by marketing messages that claim to have the answer to our problems or answer to problems we didn't even think we had. Ideally, you're marketing to people that you've determined are a good fit for your product or service. When you do that, and when you're authentic about who you are and show your passion for helping people solve specific problems, you'll begin attracting the right people with a message that they will pay attention to. The best way to make a connection with your audience, whether in a Magalog or any other type of marketing material, is to give them a story they can relate to. Telling them about the features and benefits of your product or service is great, but stories really make your message stick. Now, some businesses do tell stories. Unfortunately, it's stories they think are interesting, not their prospects or customers. If your marketing material does not tell a story the reader is interested in, they'll toss it in the trash long before they get your order form or call to action. By really engaging the reader and making the reader feel like the material is targeted to them is vital with a Magalog. And in general, it separates the companies that are the leaders in their niches and the companies that are left fighting for the scraps. Okay, so what is a Magalog, and more important, how can it help you boost response and sales? Magalogs have actually been around since at least the 80s. Financial and health companies have been the biggest users of Magalogs, but now other companies are successfully using them like Zappos, Avon, and even Oprah Winfrey. The word Magalog comes from a combination of magazine and catalog. We're selling something, the catalog portion, but we're using more of a magazine type of look. This isn't a definition I came up with, but I love it. Here it goes. A clothes catalog tells you what the fabric is made of. A Magalog explains how it makes you look and feel. The result is a more emotional connection to the products being sold. I just love that definition. Again, we're back to making a deeper connection, whether you're selling a product or maybe a service like coaching and consulting. For sales letter styles, which are used most often in the health and financial industries when they're selling a single product, the Magalog generally has a letter that flows through the whole thing. It's broken up by sidebars, and we'll talk about that later. The magazine style may have multiple articles throughout the Magalog. Now, the fact that someone as massively popular as Oprah Winfrey has used a Magalog should tell you something. On Twitter, she has about 3.7 million followers, not to mention the audience she's gained through television and her magazine. If she had something to sell, she wouldn't really need to do more than tweet it and mention it on TV, but even her company appreciates the power of a Magalog. Visually speaking, I like to refer to Maglaogs as sales letters on steroids. We're still depending on great content to sell the product or service. We're just making that content more visually interesting so that we can, as I like to say, grab eyeballs. Let's take a moment to be clear here. Sales letters are not bad. They have their place and they work extremely well. But you can see there the visual advantage a Maglaog has. And sometimes it's that visual advantage that's the difference between someone looking at your piece further or throwing it in the trash. Maglaogs also tend to be self-mailers. Sales letters often come in an envelope that you have to somehow convince someone to open. So right there, Maglaogs have another edge over sales letters and other types of printed marketing material for that matter. Just like the word music covers lots of different styles, some people use the term Maglaog to cover all the different variations we have. The most common variations of the Maglaog are the Slim Jim, the Bookalog, Tabloid, and the Issue Log. Here's a very simple visual representation of the different sizes of Maglaogs. The measurements that you see aren't fixed, they're just common sizes. Be aware that printing and mailing costs can have an impact on the size you choose. Sometimes a slight decrease in the physical size or the page count you choose can have a significant effect on your costs. Check with your post office or a print broker who has experience in this area. Most Maglaog beginners go with the basic 8.5 by 11 inch size or perhaps a Slim Jim. Issue logs are often used by companies selling newsletter subscriptions or who want to make it appear that their marketing material is a monthly or quarterly issue of a newsletter. It simply has a newsletter feel to it, even though it is a marketing tool. In all these formats, the page count is most often in multiples of 4. Maglaogs, issue logs, tabloids, and Slim Jims tend to have 16 to 32 pages, sometimes more, sometimes less. Bookalogs are like paperback books and have more pages. If there are enough pages, they may be bound like a paperback book, otherwise they're held together by staples known as saddle-stitched. As you can probably tell, there are a lot of variables, and that's why I strongly encourage you to consult an expert in all areas of Maglaog creation: copywriting, design, printing, and mailing. In my case, I have connections in the non-design areas to make things as smooth as possible for my clients.